On at number 2, or why am I doing number 2? Number 1. All right, let's just figure it all out right now, and then you don't have to worry about it.
Very well.
That's really good.
Okay, any ideas for this?
Can't say I have one.
Huh?
Solve for secant?
Yes, good job. Square root it. So it's kind of like if we have x squared equals 9, what do we do? Okay, we square root, and then it's x equals.
Plus or minus.
Hey.
No.
Sam, you never were gonna get that.
I could have.
Let's not pretend. Okay, so I get it. In theory, it was possible. Okay, so if I square root this side, it's secant equals what?
Plus or minus.
Positive 3 or negative 3. Okay, and we gotta solve these both. So secant's not on our calculator, so what do we need to do?
1 over
Cosine.
Okay, the reciprocal of secant, like the upside down version of secant, is cosine. But if you flip this upside down, you have to flip that upside down. So it's cosine of theta equals 1/3, or cosine of theta equals negative 1/3. And then, so what do we put in our calculator?
Just plug in 1 over cosine equals 3. Would that be the same thing?
That would be true. Well, yes, but that's, you couldn't plug that in your calculator now. What do we have to plug in our calculator here? Cosine inverse, remember? Cosine inverse of 1/3 equals the angle. All right, so we'd have to do that for both of these. Cosine inverse of negative 1/3.
So why didn't we just plug in secant?
There's no secant left on the calculator. You guys can, when you grow up, you can design the perfect calculator. That's easy.
Should the calculator be in degrees or radians?
We're in degrees right now.
Does the calculator do functions?
Not, well, no, not much.
Miss Cooks was trying to figure it out, and I couldn't help her.
Like a calculator?
Yeah, on a calculator.
Right?
Yeah.
Like on a graphing calculator, you can put a function in, and you can like plug in x and the calculator will do it for you, but it's not that helpful. All right, did anybody plug this in? What's cosine inverse of 1/3? Yeah.
70.5.
Okay. Anybody plug this one in?
109.5.
I raised my hand.
All right. Here's the thing. We're supposed to find all the answers between 0 and 360. Okay. Where else? So for the first answer, we got a first quadrant angle, 70.5. For the second answer, we got a second quadrant angle, 109.5.
Bless you.
Okay, but where else is cosine equal to something positive? Started out so strong.
Bottom right.
To the right, yeah. So we already got this one, so it's also positive right here. So we need a fourth quadrant angle, like from there to there. And this one is negative, so where else is cosine negative? Third quadrant. So really we need kind of an angle in every quadrant. And they all have the same, turns out, reference angle, 70.5. 109.5 is 70.5 away from 180, for example. So how do I find the fourth quadrant angle?
360 minus 70.5.
Right, 360 minus 70.5, that will be the gap right there. third quadrant angle would be 180 plus 70.5.
She keeps putting the pencil in my
So, final answer, 70.5, 109.5, 250.5. Degrees. What's that one? 289.5. So, 4 answers.
This might be a little.
3.
What's this? Oh wait, no.
3 is kind of the same thing. Just cosecant squared this time. What do you guys think we should do first?
Minus 1.
Let's minus the 1. Let's get cosecant squared by itself. Okay, I'm overheating. Put 2 layers on. Okay, girls, do we need some time apart?
No, we're okay. Please.
Alright, now what? Let's get rid of that negative. So multiply or divide by -1. That gets rid of the negative. Now what?
Square root.
Square root. Okay, so cosecant would equal positive or -2. If cosecant equals 2, then what do we change that into?
1 over
Sine equals 1 over 2. And then what do we do? Sine inverse of 1/2. 30 degrees.
Yep.
How'd you do that?
It's a special triangle, 1:2 ratio.
Back in the the book. Sounds funny.
Yeah. Okay, anyways.
She rolls down the window on the way.
You're just being dramatic.
Head out of the window. No, I think she sometimes really needs to throw up.
Well, she's kind of smiling right now. So
No, I'm not.
you're like,
She
I need to throw up.
I don't smile.
You're pretty dour. Okay, sine inverse of -1/2, -30. Okay, that is a 4th quadrant angle, but we're supposed to have angles between
So it's gonna have 330.
0 and 360, like in the first rotation. So we need to do 360 minus 330 to get the actual 4th quadrant angle.
Cool.
Okay, so we got a first quadrant angle, which is 30. But where else is sine equal to something positive? In the second quadrant, where else is sine equal to something negative? In the fourth. So really we need a lot of these, not all of these, have 4 answers. So whatever your reference angle is, in this case it's 30 because these are 30 degrees off of the x-axis. So how would we find these 2 angles over here? 180 minus 30, that's your second quadrant. 180 plus 30, that's your third quadrant. So 180 minus 30 is 150. 180 plus 30 is 210.
I'm gonna have to use a lot of paper on this one. Same. Are you on your second? Oh, second. Here, first.
Just a second page of paper on number 5.
That'd be great.
When it's tangent, can we just
I wouldn't
leave
put
it?
Yes. when you square root it, it is plus or minus 1, so you have to do tangent inverse of 1 or negative 1. Okay, number 5 is different. Little yellow different. I'd let you guys try to guess how to do it, but I kind of doubt you're going to get it.
Did you put the signs together?
No. Well, this is sine squared. It's kind of like x squared and x. They don't really mix. Okay, if we were solving a problem like this, so I replaced sine with x. If we were solving a problem like this, how would we do it?
Figure out what two numbers could go into.
Factor it, or maybe even quadratic formula. But let's try factoring. So what goes into 6x squared? 3x times 2x. What goes into 2? That's not right. Did I copy this down here? Oh yeah, it is. Sorry. My bad. Okay, what goes into 2? 2 and 1. Because we need it to add up to -7, I'm going to use -2 and -1. Negative times negative is positive. So when you FOIL, what do we get? -4x minus 3x, -7x. So this is right. So if I was solving this, what would x be? What x values make this equal 0?
1/2.
+1/2.
Then 2/3.
+2/3. Okay, that's not actually the answer though. I kind of changed the problem, right? I replaced sine with x. So really it's sine of theta equals 1/2. And sine of theta equals 2/3. So those are our two.
So could Leo use a quadratic formula to get those two?
You could have. Yeah.
Factoring is be easier.
If you're good at factoring, it's easier.
If you're good at factoring. I hate you.
And a problem when you're
I'm not pooping.
when your best friend is the person you hate the most. The girls are like, yeah. Okay. So we need sine inverse of 1/2 and sine inverse of 2/3. What was this one?
41.8.
Okay. Unlike the other two, these two do not have the same reference angle. So it's not going to be like all four with the same reference angle. So where else is sine positive besides the first quadrant? Because it's the first quadrant angle. Second quadrant.
How do you know that's the first quadrant angle?
Because where's 30 degrees at? It's between 0 and 90. And so it's the first quadrant. Anyway, so we need the second quadrant angle. And if 30 degrees is our reference angle, that's how far we are off the x-axis.
Why wouldn't you use the other one?
Yeah.
You do, you just do it separately. So 180 minus 30 is 150. Is that what you said? 150.
So then why don't you just do 41?
So you also do this one. So 41.8 is also first quadrant angle, so you have to do 180 minus 41.8 as well.
Yeah.
138.2.
Mr. Jordan, when you say 21 in math classes, Caleb still say 21?
He did once this year. Like for old time's sake. so yeah, that only, if these are negative, then you have to do the negative sine quadrants. Okay,
Okay.
let's just try one more. That was about. You smile. Seven looks almost identical. I don't know why they did that, but whatever. Oh no, one's a cosine.
Yeah.
I didn't see that at the beginning. Okay, so another trick upcoming. Any guesses what we could do first? Okay, well, it's kind of a problem if this is sine squared and this is cosine. So we're going to transform sine squared into, you guys know what sine squared is equal to? It's from yesterday.
Cosine minus 1.
Close. One
Do it
minus,
to me.
1 minus cosine squared.
Really thought I had that.
Allison, you're like smiling nonstop. I don't smile.
Sorry.
You should be.
Plus 6 cosine.
Okay, any guesses now?
Plus 6 cosine.
Yeah, you could do that. So when we have an x squared problem, like let me turn this into an x squared problem.
Do a square on the other side.
Like if we have a quadratic equation like this, what do we normally do?
Move it on one side.
Move it to one side and then, yeah, factor. So I'm gonna kind of drop this for a second. I'll just use x in place of cosine. Kind of like I did in the last problem. So yeah, let's move it all over to the right, I guess. So that's a 0 now. Got 6x squared minus 5x. 7 minus 6 is 1.
Whoa. No, one-time trick. No, it's not.
So is it negative 2, negative 3?
So you probably don't want to make your x's negative. What goes into 6x squared? Here, 2x times 3x. What goes into 1? 1 times 1, but we're going to need to use negative 1 times negative 1 because it has to add up to negative 5x. And when you check the outside inside, it should add up to negative 5x. Okay, so what x values make this equal 0? I feel like we've done both of these already. Wait. But have we done it for cosine though? Not for cosine. So
Maybe 1/3.
it's really cosine of theta equals 1/2 and cosine of theta equals 1/3. Now if we've already done cosine equals 1/2 or 1/3, we can kind of reuse those. Have we done it? We did 1/3.
Here's 1/9.5. The first one.
109.5 and cosine's also negative down here, so it was like 250.5. So these two, you can do it again, but those two will be a repeat for this one. 109.5
For 1/2.
for 1/3. We already did it on number 1. 109.5 is the second quadrant angle. That's where cosine's negative at. Cosine's also negative in the third quadrant. It's 250. Anyways. Okay, cosine inverse of 1/2 is 60. That's not too hard. Okay,
Wait, where'd you get the 250?
from number 1.
I got 70.5.
Oh, is it 70.5?
That's what give me a second, I might have done it wrong.
I got the 60.
It's 1/3, right?
No, 1/3 should have been 109.5.
Yes.
Oh, no. Oh, we did the wrong one. I did the wrong one. 70.5. I did the wrong one.
Sam rejoice.
Okay, where else is cosine positive at?
Those
Fourth.
Fourth quadrant. What was the fourth quadrant angle? It's 360 minus 70.5.
300.
Oh, so if it was negative 1/2 and negative 1. Oh
Yeah.
wait, those are just.
Those were 2 of the answers off of number 1 because we did.
So if it was cosine of negative 1/3, then your answers would have been right.
It would have been the
Okay.
Okay, cosine of 1/2 is 60. That's the first quadrant angle. Where else is cosine equal to something positive? Fourth quadrant. How do we find the fourth quadrant angle? 360 minus 60.
So if there's one negative and one positive.
Well, that's what we did on number 1. I'll go back. And number 2 were like that also. So we did cosine inverse of 1/3 and got that. We did cosine inverse of negative 1/3 and got that. Cosine is equal to something positive in the first quadrant, like equals positive, and the fourth quadrant. So we used this as a reference angle to find our fourth quadrant angle also. This is a second quadrant angle because cosine equals negative in the second quadrant, but the third quadrant also has a negative cosine value. So the third quadrant angle, we could still use this as the reference angle because they're all like 1/3. So we just did 180 plus 70.5.